Hey guys, this is a Scratch tutorial to Scratch by NetGIQ. Please like and subscribe. Okay, yeah, I guess I didn't even show you anything yet. Okay, so first when you get there, you're gonna want to click sign in, and you're gonna be able to see a lot of stuff. And there's notifications from the people who you follow. I follow this guy, and yeah. You can explore community projects. What are the chances? Anyway, so after you sign in, you're going to want to click create, and if you want to know how, then view my other tutorials. This is how it's going to start with a default sprite with already 2 costumes. Move 10 steps moves you around 10 pixels to the right. Turn 15 degrees changes your direction by 15. This changes it by negative 15. Going to random position. Going to random position moves it to a random position. And then it just goes to wherever you say for this one. So go to X blank, go to Y blank. Takes that as 0. So as you see, it should go 1 to 0, 0. Glide to blank, and then glide 1 second to mouse pointer. And now you have to do a forever loop for that to count. But that's not what this tutorial is about. So let's just put it back to 0, 0. Or you can make it glide 1 second to there. So I'm going to keep that. Point in direction 90. It puts it into the direction 90. 176. Now let's move it over here. When we do this, it points in direction 90 and glides 1 second there because we told it to. Actually, we can just put in the same one. So point towards, basically, points it to the angle our mouse pointer is facing. Since it's the last code we put, that's the one it's going to follow. And now change X basically adds whatever you want, whatever number is in there. And it's useful if you want to use variables, which you can store numbers and values in. And even the code. Set X basically just sets X to whatever you want. And it's basically the same thing as go to, except it's at the Y, and the same for the Y on both. If on edge bounce, it detects if it's on the edge, and then it makes it bounce, sometimes even changing the direction. Set rotation style left, right, well, you can figure what that is on your own. And these, it shows the variables, and it just shows what the direction and stuff is at. It's useful if you want to see. Say hello, I guess. Says hello. And that's because it was gliding. Says hello for 2 seconds. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and then it stops. Say hello just doesn't stop. And then think is the exact same thing, except it does a bubble thing. Thinking bubble. Switch in costume switches it to the costume we have here. If we don't have a second costume, it's not going to be an option. Next costume does basically the same thing. Switch backdrop, we only have backdrops, and it's called backdrop 1, but if you add a backdrop, it does the same thing as costume. Change size by 10, it increases it, because in code change means increase. If you increase it by a negative number, it decreases by that much. Set size to 100%. That is 100% is the default, and size 100 is also the 100%. So if you just change it to something, or you change it to 25%, it's going to be 1/4 the size. Change color effect. This one's really cool. It just changes it to a different color. And then clear and graphic effects will do anything. This will, if you change it to 25, it also changes. Graph effects. Now hide, hides the sprite. Shows the sprite. Bet you didn't see that coming. Good front layer. If two sprites are overlapping, then that's when you're going to need that to put it in front, basically in front of everything else. It's helpful for platformer games if there's any sprite. You go forward one layer. Let's say it's on last, but you want to go in between, and those both are in front, and then that goes in between. Costume number. These are variables to help shown, and yeah. Now we're on the sound. Now this is interesting. Meow. Supposed to do that sound. And stop all sounds stops all sounds. This increases the pitch, or sometimes in volume. Change this, decrease the volume, but because it's a negative number, as usual, this sets it to default. And this volume just shows the variable. As you see, these are events. When it's clicked, it runs the code. When this key is pressed, or whatever you want here, or you can do any key in some cases. When the sprite is clicked, it does something that was not supposed to happen. It's because we're in the editor, we can change the space as we would like to do. When backdrop switch is a backdrop 1, because that's the only one we have. When loudness is over 10. When I receive message 1, now these are interesting. They are broadcasts, and it's basically text that can only communicate to sprites. You can't see it. So basically, if the cat says, you can new message meow, meow. And it says, when I receive meow, do something. It's good to communicating to different sprites. Not costumes though. Wait 1 second. Wait 1 second is the next thing. Repeat 10 times. It repeats that many times. Forever it repeats for the entire code until it is stopped. If then whatever is in there, if that is true, then it does it. And for this, if that is true, it does it. If else, it does what is in the else. Sometimes you can leave it empty. Wait until something happens and then it repeats. Then it does the code repeat until that happens. And then when that happens, it stops and moves on to the next code. Stop all just stops all the code. The script is this script, other scripts in the sprite, and so on and so forth. A specific script is like a line of code precedented by a event. And when you start as a clone, it does something. Create clone also does something. Delete this clone also does something. If you put these three together, it glitches the page. Do not do it. And I bet about 50% of you are going to scratch right now to try that out. And then here is where the if comes in. So if touching mouse pointer, if touching color, if color is touching this, distance, if distance to mouse pointer is greater, blah, 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 blah. Ask what's your name and wait. Basically what it does, it asks that question. What's your name? My name is blah, 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 blah. And then wait until the answer is responded. And then answer, blah, 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 blah. Resets the answer because it asks the question again. And then we had the answer. When key space press, and these are all detection blocks, mouse X and mouse Y. You use those in variable equations with the operators. Key space pressed, that's also a question 1. Set drag mode draggable, it basically turns it draggable, not only to the editor. Loudness, these are variables. Reset timer, basically reset this variable, set it to 0. Backdrop number of stage is currently 1, since that's the only one. You can change that. can also just say drag mode not draggable. Current year 2026, current month 8th of the year, and it can do many other things. Second, that's interesting. Dude, you're ugly. Why does it only do 34 seconds? Day since 2000, yeah, that's one of the most useless blocks. Online, username, and if it says current second, and you see years like, wait, it didn't show them, just show, now it's updated, and then you can just do that. If online, this is another detection one. Username, it shows the username. Hey, don't look at that. You're not going to hack. And then basically these are to go inside of these, which go inside of these. No, these just go inside of these circle things. Pick random from 1 to 10. I guess you can edit this. You can edit anything that's an empty bubble. And yeah, I think you can know what that does. If something yes and this, or if something yes or that, or if not, then this just does random things with grammar that turns it into something different. So apple contains a. True, I think you should know that. Mod, people think, oh yeah, it's a complicated math thing. But in reality, it just divides this number by this number and shows the remainder. Round, it basically just rounds it. This has many, many math things that you'll probably never, ever, ever use, so don't worry. Now, variables can store, as I said, change is addition. So if it says add blank to my variable, and that blank is this. Set my variable, it dictates it to where it will go, and you can set it to 0 when the flag is clicked to reset a variable called score something. Show variable, my variable, basically shows it. Hide variable, my variable, bet you didn't see that coming. And list, basically, and add a thing. Basically, you can add variables or objects or stuff like that to it. It only works when it's outside. To the list, you can add many lists. I'm going to delete this list since we don't need it. Make a block, basically cut and cut high. And define high, so basically set my variable to 0, change it by 1. But it's doing nothing because there's nothing to do. When it is clicked, do high. Why isn't it happening? Because we need to show it. Yeah, set it to 0 when it is clicked, and then after that it changes it by 1. And you need to get rid of all uses before you can delete the block itself. Anyway, that is my guide to Scratch, and there's a bunch of extensions. Also, please join my club, and if you don't know what I mean, then just subscribe. As you see, I have a studio. And then, look, ta-da! There's already 4 projects, including this planet clicker, which I'm going to make a tutorial on very, very soon. See you next time. Like and subscribe to NetJack.